My dear students, welcome to my next class on solid state. Today we are going to discuss the close packing in three dimensions. In the previous class I had explained you what is meant by a close packing. I told you that the atoms or the molecules or the ions are the constituent particles of a crystal. These particles of a crystals are to be considered as hard spheres, incompressible spheres. So every particle in a crystal is taken as a hard sphere. Now, if you arrange these spheres very closely, leaving a minimum vacant space is known as a close packing. Close packing is nothing but the arrangement of the constituent particles in a crystal very closely by leaving a minimum vacant space is called as a close packing. But here, however closely we are arranging the particles, definitely there will be certain volume or certain space left vacant. Why? Because they are in spherical shape, so that it is not possible to occupy the entire volume. Now arranging the particles leaving a minimum space is known as close packing. In crystals we have a three-dimensional close packing. That means the particles in a crystals will be arranged in all the three directions, leaving a minimum vacant space based on the type of crystal. Crystalline arrangement. But to understand the three-dimensional arrangement, three-dimensional arrangement in the sense the particles in x-axis, along y-axis and along z-axis will be arranged. To understand the three-dimensional structure, we need to understand the one-dimensional structure close packing, and the second step is to understand the two-dimensional close packing, and then we move to the three-dimensional close packing in the crystal. It is nothing but crystal will actually have three-dimensional close packing, but in order to understand the three-dimensional close packing in a crystal, we need to have the knowledge of one dimension and two-dimensional arrangement or close packing of the particles in a crystal. So truly crystal will have a three-dimensional arrangement, but that is far more from the one-dimensional and two-dimensional close packing. It is nothing but to understand a sentence, we should have the knowledge of the alphabets and words. Because if you know alphabets, you can write words. If you know words, and you can form a meaningful sentence from it. In the same way, three-dimensional structure of a crystal is like a sentence which is formed from the alphabets and words. Here, the one-dimensional, two-dimensional structures are helpful in studying the three-dimensional structure of the crystal. So let us go for the close packing in three-dimensional. But once again, quickly we recall what are the one-dimensional close packings. I told you the one-dimensional close packing is only of one way. That is nothing but in one-dimensional structure, the particles are arranged in a row and along any one axis. One dimension means we have only one direction, either x-axis or y-axis or z-axis. In one dimension, the particles are arranged in such a way that each particle is contact with the other. I told you that here the coordination number is 2. Only one way of one-dimensional close packing is possible. Here the coordination number is 2. If you take any particle that will be touching two other particles, that will be in contact with two other spheres, that means coordination number is 2. I told you coordination number is nothing but the number of nearest neighbors or number of particles with each particle is in contact with. So here coordination number is 2. And I told you two-dimensional close packing also. In two-dimensional close packing, I told you there are two types possible. There are two types. One is square close packing, which already I had explained, and hexagonal close packing. Hexagonal close packing. These are the two types of square close packing and two-dimensional close packing. What is a square close packing? I told you that one-dimensional close packing is taken. This is first row, and I told you that second row is exactly aligned on the second row. just for a second row is exactly aligned with the first row here. That means the position of the spheres is exact in the second row is coinciding with the first row. This is one row, and now second row, and this is along x direction. Now we are filling the particles in y direction also. The second row is exactly coinciding with the first row. Even the third row is exactly coinciding with the second row, and so on. Even the fourth row is coinciding with the third row, and so on. This is called as a square close packing in 2 dimension. I told you that any particle will be in contact with 4 other particles. You can see here this sphere is in contact with 4 other spheres, so that the coordination number is equals to 4. In 2 dimensional square close packing, the coordination number is 4, and it is called as a square packing because if you join the centers of the spheres, those are in contact, it will form a square. That is why it is called as a 2-dimensional square close packing. Now already I told you hexagonal close packing. Here this is the 1-dimensional close packing, or spheres in one row, 1-dimensional close packing. Now the second row is aligned in a staggered manner. Second row will not be same as the first row. Here in a staggered manner we will arrange the second row. What is meant by staggered here? We keep the spheres in the depressions formed in the first row. This is the depression. Here this part is called as depression. So here the second row is arranged in a staggered manner, that it is kept in the depressions formed in the second row. I told you the third row is arranged in such a way that the depressions in the second row are covered. So this is second row, third row. We keep the spheres in the third row. We stack the spheres in the third row in such a way that the depressions in the second row are covered. Again, the fourth row is covered in a similar way, covering the depressions in the third row. The depressions in the third row are covered by the fourth row. Now, if you observe, first row is same as third one. Second row is fourth one. If you name the first one as A, first row as A type, second row is different, that is B type. Again, if you observe the third row is same as the first row, so that it is of A type. Again, fourth row is of second row. Second row is of B type. Fourth row is also B type. So, what is the repeating pattern here? AB, dash dash type of arrangement. AB. A one type, B is other type. Again, A and B. A, B. Likewise, it is arranged. Here, what is the type of arrangement? A type of arrangement. A type of arrangement. Now, what is the coordination number here? You see here, each sphere is in contact with 6 other spheres. So that already I had told you, 6 is the coordination number in 2-dimensional hexagonal close packing. Why? It is in contact with 6 other spheres. So there are 6 nearest neighbors. But when you join the centers of these nearest neighbors, we are getting a hexagon. That is why it is called as a hexagonal close packing. So 1-dimensional we have revised, 2-dimensional also we have revised. How many types of 2-dimensional? There are 2 types. One is square close packing. The other one is hexagonal close packing. What is the coordination number in 2-dimensional square close packing? Coordination number is 4. What is the repeating pattern? A. What is the coordination number in hexagonal 2-dimensional close packing? Coordination number is 6. And what is the pattern, repeating pattern here? AB is the repeating pattern. But anyway, here we have particles only along x direction and y direction, 2-dimensional. Here only x direction and y direction. Here also 2-dimensional. Along x axis we have particles, along y axis we have. Now we will take the help of these 2-dimensional structures to build the 3-dimensional close packing. So a true close packing that exists in a crystal is 3-dimensional, but it is built from the 2-dimensional and 1-dimensional close packing structures. So the true crystalline structures are 3-dimensionals, but those are formed from the 1-dimensional and 2-dimensional close packing structures. Now let us study the 3-dimensional close packing structures in crystals. Three-dimensional close packing in crystals can be obtained either from two-dimensional square close packing. I told you that two types of two-dimensional close packings exist. One is a square close packing, other one is hexagonal close packing. So the crystalline structures, the actual crystalline structure is three-dimensional. That can be explained by taking the help of two-dimensional square packing and also three-dimensional and also hexagonal square packing. Two-dimensional square packing can be used to generate the three-dimensional structure, or hexagonal close packing can be used to generate the three-dimensional structures. So all the crystal systems are formed from those two-dimensional structures repeated in different ways to produce the three-dimensional. Let us see now how the three-dimensional structure is generated from three-dimensional close packing from this two-dimensional square packing. This is the first one. Three-dimensional close packing from two-dimensional square close packing. We can build the three-dimensional close packing structure by taking either square close packing or hexagonal close packing. If you take square close packing, that will give a different crystalline structure. If you take hexagonal close packing, two-dimensional, that will give a different three-dimensional structure. So three-dimensional structures are formed from either from square close packing or from hexagonal. Now let us study how the three-dimensional structure is formed from two-dimensional square close packing. Now let us take the two-dimensional square packing. You know, in two-dimensional square packing, just now we had revised. Here, this is the two-dimensional close packing, just square close packing. Just we are taking two-dimensional square close packing to generate the three-dimensional lattice. Later we will take the two-dimensional hexagonal close packing to generate the different crystalline system. This is the two-dimensional close packing system, square close packing. Why it is two-dimensional? Because particles are arranged along x-axis and along y-axis. Now this is the first layer. We consider it as the first layer. Now the second layer in a three-dimensional close packing is formed by taking one more layer of two-dimensional square packing. We take one more layer of two-dimensional square. This is one layer. This is one layer. Now we'll keep the second layer. We take same layer, one more layer, and we keep the second layer on the first layer. This is first layer. Now we are keeping the second layer. For example, I am taking the second layer. I am keeping the second layer on the first layer. Remember that first layer, second layer is also has same arrangement like first layer. But now I am keeping the second layer of square close packing on the first layer of this square. We have taken one layer. I am keeping the second layer. How I am keeping? Just exactly I am stacking the second layer in such a way that the spheres of the second layer are exactly coinciding with the spheres of the first layer. So in second layer has spheres. I am keeping the second layer. That second layer, the spheres in the second layer are exactly coinciding with the spheres of the first layer. So I have used a red marker to generate the second layer. Now I am keeping the third layer. How the third layer is kept? Third layer is also same as the first layer and second layer. Now I am keeping the third layer on the second layer. So in this way we can generate the third layer and so on fourth layer. So we have taken one layer and we have kept the second layer on the first layer and we have kept the second layer on the third layer and so on. But all the layers are coinciding. First layer is same as the second layer is same as the third layer and so on. If first layer is A type, second layer is also similar to that. So that second layer is also A. Even the third layer is also same, because in third layer we are keeping the layer in such a way that the spheres of the third layer are coinciding with the second layer. So third layer is also A type. Even fourth layer is also same, so that it is A type of arrangement here. Look here, we have arranged particles along x-axis and y-axis. Now we are arranging in the z-axis also. We have taken one layer of two-dimensional square packing and we are taking one more layer of two-dimensional square packing. The second layer is also one more two-dimensional square packing. Third layer is also one square packing. We are stacking one layer on the above. So look here, for example, if this is the first layer of square close packing, I am keeping the second layer on the first layer in such a way that the spheres of the first layer and second layer are coinciding. Now I am keeping one more layer here. I am keeping the third layer here. But imagine that all the three layers are same type. First one is A type. The arrangement of the particles in the second one is also same. Even in the third one also the arrangement of the particles is same. So that each layer is of same type, A and A type. We are repeating in all the three dimensions. So we have arranged the particles along the x-axis, along y-axis. This is x-axis and this is y. Even along the z-axis also we have arranged. To understand that, take the examples of trays of eggs. You know that if you take a crate of eggs, the eggs will be arranged aligned horizontally and vertically. If you take the second tray, you can see that the eggs of the second tray will be aligned with the first tray. That means eggs in the second crate is exactly aligned with the eggs in the first tray. In the same way, third crate you can take third layer of eggs, that is nothing but third tray of eggs. You can see that eggs in the third tray is aligned with the eggs in the second tray exactly. In the same way, second tray of eggs is aligned with the first tray of eggs. When you have seen the trays of eggs, how they are stacked is nothing but this arrangement, three-dimensional close packing from two-dimensional close packing. But what is this arrangement is called as? Actually this arrangement is nothing but a simple cubic arrangement. When you stack in this manner, what the crystalline system we are getting is a simple cubic. You can see here, if you join here, you are getting a simple cube, 8 corners with 8 points here. When you join 8 corners, we will be having 8 points here. So here we have 8 points at 8 corners. So this is nothing but simple cubic arrangement is obtained now. So when you stack two-dimensional square packing, one on the other, we have several layers here, first layer, second layer, third layer, but all the layers of same type, A type, so that A type of arrangement will give a three-dimensional close packing from two-dimensional square close packing. And here the resulting unit cell is a simple cubic. Now, what is the coordination number? So, three-dimensional close packing formed from the two-dimensional square close packing is a simple cubic lattice. How it is formed? Simply, I told the example of crates of eggs, trays of eggs. You know that horizontally and vertically in all the dimensions they are arranged in a similar way. The alignment is retained in all the axes, x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. As you can see the trays of eggs, that's such kind of arrangement here. But the spheres are difficult to be shown here. I told you that first layer has spheres here. Now the second layer is kept in such a way that the spheres of the second layer are in contact with the first layer. Second layer is also similar, having similar arrangement to that of the first layer. Even the third layer will also have the spheres arranged in the similar way to the second layer, in fourth layer. So in this way we have generated several layers, but all the layers are same type. Now can you guess what is the coordination number here? For example, to get the coordination number, for example, I have taken one sphere in the second layer. Then I have taken one sphere in the second layer. That sphere is in contact with the 4 other spheres. I have chosen one sphere from the second layer that is in contact with the 4 other spheres in the same layer. So that here it is in contact with 4 spheres. That means nearest neighbors is 4. Now There is one more point is one more sphere is in contact with the X in the from the upper layer. You know that there is one layer upper. The upper layer, the sphere in the upper layer is also in contact with that X. In the same way, that sphere in the upper layer means we have taken second layer. There is a sphere in the third layer also. In the same way, there will be a sphere in the first layer also. Second layer is in between first and third layer. So that it will be in contact with the sphere in the upper layer. It will also be in contact with the sphere in the lower layer. This X is in contact with four layers in the, four spheres in the same layer, and also it has in contact with one sphere in the upper layer and one sphere in the bottom layer. That means one sphere from the bottom layer and one sphere from the upper layer. It is in contact with one sphere from the upper layer and one sphere from the bottom layer. You can see here, upper layer is in contact. In the same way, bottom layer sphere is also in contact with X. So altogether, here 4 spheres in contact in the same layer. Upper is 1 and lower is 1. Altogether, there are 6 spheres in contact with each other. So the coordination number is 6 here. So this is nothing but the formation of a simple cubic cell, unit cell. Nothing but simple cubic arrangement. Primitive unit cell is formed by two-dimensional square close packing is used to generate the three-dimensional close packing. And here the packing efficiency is less because more vacant spaces are left here. You can see nearly 52.4% will be occupied. That is packing efficiency. That is nothing but the percentage of the volume occupied by the spheres in the unit cell. But what is the empty space? It is nearly 47.6. 52.4 will be occupied percentage. Remaining out of 100, if subtract 52.4, nearly 47.6 will be the empty space, vacant space. So more vacant space is left here, less space is occupied, so that it is less efficient. So this is all about three-dimensional close packing from two-dimensional. If you take two-dimensional square close packing, what is the resulting unit cell? By the stacking, simple cubic unit cell is formed in this way. Now, what about the three-dimensional close packing? If you take a two-dimensional hexagonal close packing, now we have generated three-dimensional close structure from 2D square close packing. If you take hexagonal close packing, what are the unit cells that are generated? Square close packing generated simple cubic. If you take hexagonal close packing, 2D hexagonal close packing for generation of 3D, what are the unit cells that are going to be generated? And what is its packing efficiency? We'll discuss in the next class. Now we'll move to some of the discussions related to the NEET. Let us discuss some questions from our college NEET material. All of you just take the college NEET material. To understand the structures, please have a reference to the textbook, because three-dimensional structures, however we draw on the board, they can explain to some extent. So your imagination is required, your visualization is also required, and also please refer to the diagrams from the other sources too. Now let us go for the NEET discussion. So we'll take our college material and we'll discuss the NEET questions. First NEET question from solid state. So this is NEET corner. The first question I am reading. Which of the following properties does not define a crystalline solid? Here, does not define a crystalline solid. So that means which of the following is not related to a crystalline solid? That means not the property of a crystalline solid. First we will take the first option. When cut into pieces, we have irregular surfaces. Actually, this point is not related to crystalline. When you cut any crystalline substance with a sharp tool, that will give a smooth or regular surface. Whereas amorphous will give an irregular surface when you cut with a sharp tool. So the first point they are giving it gives a irregular surface. Irregular surface means that is not defining the crystalline property. This is an amorphous property. So first option can be taken. That is not define crystalline first property, that defines amorphous. Let us see the second, isotropic. So the properties of crystalline are not isotropic. So the second option is also not defining the property of a crystalline solid, because the properties of crystalline solids will be different in different directions. That is called as anisotropy. Isotropy is related to amorphous. So isotropy is not related to crystallines. Isotropy is related to amorphous. Let us see the third option too. Anisotropic. Yes, third one is related to the crystalline solid. But we have to select the options which are not related to the crystalline solid. So first A and B are not related to the crystalline solid. They are related to the amorphous. Let us go for the last option, both A and B. So last option is correct. That is both A and B. Both A and B are not related to the crystalline solids. So this is the D is the right option. Let us go to the second question. Solid CO2 is an example of solid CO2 is an example of. I will read the options: covalent crystalline solid, metallic crystalline solid, molecular solid, ionic solid. Just it is directly conceptual question from the first part of the lesson. A solid CO2 is an example for a molecular crystalline solid. So the right option is C. What is the option? Molecular crystalline solid. Can you tell which type of molecular crystalline solid it belongs to? You know that molecular crystalline solids of three types: polar, non-polar, hydrogen bond. CO2, solid CO2 is an example for polar molecular crystalline solid. Or you can say solid CO2 is as dry ice. So solid CO2 is an example for molecular crystalline solid. Let us move to the third question. Which of the following statements is true? We have to select a true statement from the given. Molecular crystals are very hard and incompressible. Molecular crystals are very hard and incompressible. It is wrong. They are very soft actually. Second one, ionic crystals have low volatility. Yes, it is correct. Second option is correct. Ionic crystals have low volatility. Low volatility means high melting and boiling points. High volatility means low melting and boiling points. But low volatility means high melting and boiling points. Yes, crystalline solids will have high melting and boiling point. So second option is the correct option. Let us see this. Third one, metallic bond is directional and rigid. Yes, metallic crystalline solids are not directional, they are non-directionals. So that it is not correct. Fourth one, boron nitride has an ionic crystalline structure. No, it is a covalent crystalline structure. So the right option is ionic solids have low volatility or high melting and boiling point. Let us go for the fourth question. Match the following. Here two columns are given. You have to match. In first column, what is given? Ionic crystalline solid. Metallic is given. Second one is metallic is given. Third one covalent is given. And the fourth one molecular is given. Here in first column we have four types of crystals: ionic, metallic, covalent and molecular crystal. Now in the second column we have examples for these crystals. What are the examples given mentioned here? Column 2, NaCl. This is first one. Second one is iron in the second column. Third one in the third column is graphite. And the fourth one in the second column is CO2. So let us match now. First of all, NaCl. NaCl is which type of crystalline solid? Ionic. So that for A, the correct match is 1. Take iron. Iron is a metallic. So that B, 2 is the correct match. Let us take the third one, graphite. Graphite is an example for covalent crystalline solid. So third one is matched with C. C is matched with 3. In a similar way, CO2 is now, just now we have discussed molecular crystalline solid. So D is related to 4. So what is the option now? A is already it is matched. So A is 1 and B 2, C 3 and D 4. So the right option is here B is the right option. Let us go for the next question. Let us move to the fifth question in NEET corner. What is the fifth question? Graphite is a soft solid lubricant, extremely difficult to melt. The reason for this anomalous behavior is graphite. They are saying that graphite is very soft and it has a high melting point and it is a lubricant. What is the reason for its anomalous behavior? Anomalous behavior means, behaving in a different way from the other substances belonging to the same class. Behaving in a different way. Anomalous behavior means behaving in a different way. You know that graphite is also a covalent crystalline solid, but it is a conductor. Remaining are non-conductors and they are hard, but it is soft. Why it is behaving in a different way? You all know that graphite has a layered structure. We have hexagonal layers, hexagonal rings in the layers. One layer will be weakly attracted by the other layer. That means the attraction force, van der Waals forces between the two layers is very weak, and so that it can slide, and it is a soft substance and it acts as a lubricant as it can slide. Why it slides? Due to the weak van der Waals forces. Now let us check the options here. It is a non-crystalline substance. No, it is not correct. It is an allotropic form of diamond. So that is not related to the anomalous behavior. Why the anomalous behavior is there, we have to explain. Next, as molecules of variable molecules like in polymers that have variable molecules like polymers, that is also not the reason. Has carbon atoms arranged in a large plates of rings, strong carbon with a strong bond. Carbon atoms has layers with weak interplate bonds. The interplate bonds are very weak. That is the reason. And so the right option for this is D. So the interplate bond is very weak and so it can be very soft and a lubricant. Now let us move to the next question. Which of the following has the highest melting point? Highest melting point. Here certain options are given. We have to choose the one with highest melting point. First one ionic crystals, second one molecular crystal, third one covalent, fourth one metallic crystals. We all know that covalent crystals will have the highest melting point. I told you that molecular crystals are very soft and have very low melting point. If you compare ionic crystals and molecular crystals and covalent crystals will have the highest melting point due to the strong covalent bond. So the right option is C, that is covalent bonded crystals. Let us go for the next neat question. Which of the following is a pseudo-solid? Already we have studied this type of questions. Pseudo-solid, nothing but amorphous are called as pseudo-solids. Those are also called as fake solids. Why those are called as pseudo-solids? Because in amorphous like glass, they flow like liquids, but the flow rate is very slow. So what is the pseudo-solid is nothing but amorphous. We have to select amorphous here. CaF2. CaF2 is a crystalline solid, ionic crystalline solid. Second one is glass. Yes, glass is an amorphous and that is a pseudo-solid. And the third option is NaCl and fourth one is all of this. So the correct option is glass. Now let us go for the next neat question. Which of the following has the weakest intermolecular force? Weakest intermolecular forces. Which of the following will have the weakest intermolecular forces? First one is ice, second one is phosphorus, fourth one is naphthalene, third one is naphthalene, and option D is sodium fluoride. Here, ice, phosphorus and naphthalene are covalent crystalline solids. NaF is an ionic crystalline solids. So that strong ionic crystalline solids will have strong intermolecular forces because that is electrostatic force of attraction. But in molecular crystals we have van der Waals forces of attraction. Ice, phosphorus and naphthalene are molecular crystalline solids, so that they have van der Waals forces that are weak. But in that also, we take ice and phosphorus and naphthalene, ice has low melting point, so that ice will have the weakest intermolecular forces due to its low melting point. So these are some of the discussions related to the NEET. We will discuss the next concept in the next class. Thank you.